Hello, I hope you're well. Now today's video is the first of a series of videos from Sensei Tony Shuffleberger's session from Winter Camp. As is normal for Tony, he focuses on body mechanics, structure, and also our own self-awareness of what we're doing and how we're doing it. Now in this video he talks in quite a lot of detail about how we connect to the ground with our feet, and towards the end of the video he also goes into quite a lot of detail about how to just make subtle changes to your biomechanical structure so that you've got correct posture and you can use your body as efficiently as possible. Now I have to admit there was a bit of a technical disaster halfway through this session. The headset mic decided it wasn't going to work anymore, so there's a couple of odd edits halfway through just as we had to get around this somehow. I hope it doesn't spoil your enjoyment. If you found this useful, normal stuff, smash below, consider subscribing and enjoy the clip. Thanks for watching.
First of all, I'd like to thank Duncan for putting this event on. He's been doing it for many years, and also to these other great instructors that come along and help us explore what we've learned from different points of view. What I'm going to give you today is my personal point of view of 40 years of playing around in martial arts, bouncing off people like Clive and Duncan, and interpreting it from my understanding. So I'm going to throw some stuff at you. Hopefully you'll understand what I'm talking about. Let's give it a go. So we'll just bow in. Hey, Kamasani, right? Okay, normal. Good, so just pop up. And what I'm going to do is just get you to push your feet into the floor, and I want you to shift your feet around till you find your natural position with your feet. Alright, so I'm just going to get you to, and when you find your natural position, just settle onto your feet. Okay. One of the things Clive was touching on earlier was volume. I call it volume, or you call it expanding space. Okay, but that needs to be supported by grounding, by your feet. So for me, your feet is your first early warning system to your subconscious, whether you're fight, flight or freeze. Okay. Also, by understanding how you stand on your own feet, you can start to read what's happening from someone else who's connected to you. So that's sort of where we start from. So for me, there's three stages. There's your feet, how you ground yourself. The second thing is your structure, your skeletal structure that holds you upright. And the third thing is this volume or expansion, the space, ownership of the space. Your subconscious brain, which is 80% of your body, connects to your, they call it peripersonal space. And we don't have awareness of this. And this subconscious doesn't use language to communicate to you. It comes through feelings and emotions. So we as martial arts are actually trying to tap into that subconscious area, or reptilian part of the brain, to become reactional and defend ourselves before we think. So on that note, we'll just play here, and I'm going to get you where you are on your feet now, and just rock forward on your feet till you can feel your toes start to dig into the mat. Okay? That's the front edge of your stable, grounded space. If you go a bit further, what you should find is that your feet are starting to grab, your subconscious will be starting to trigger to give you fight-flight mode. Okay? So come back and find the front edge of your grounded foot. Come into the middle arch where you know that you're stable, this is comfortable, and go back into your heel where your toes start to lift, and that's the back edge. And this is definitely a fight-flight situation. When you hear it, I'm going to react. Okay? So you've got three areas across your feet that I'm going to get you to explore, which allows you to find out where you are. If your knees are locked, what happens is you fall off your grounded feet very easily. So if you release any tension in your knees, you'll find that you have more distance. You can travel across your feet. Okay. And then we'll do a stack now. So we come up to our hips. And what I'm going to ask you to do is just tighten your stomach muscles and allow your hip, your pelvis to rotate. What you're trying to find is taking off any pressure in your lower spine. You're looking at getting the natural position of your lower spine. So if you overcook it, it's too much. So just gently play with it, rock your hips, and find where do you feel most natural. The next thing you'll do is come up to your chest area, and I'm going to ask you to lift your shoulders, roll them in the ball joint, and drop weight down into your elbows. And allow this to open gently, and find your chest area, which opens and keeps yourself free to move. Yeah? Take any tension out of your shoulders. The last thing is take your jawline Bring it back slightly and lift it, and just get expansion in the last part of the vertebrae in your spine, and make sure your head's not locked. And what we're doing here is we're expanding, we're extending up through the body mass, and when we carry tension, or we think, we tend to carry our shoulders up, which causes pressure. So once we're aware of that, all we have to do is roll the shoulders, drop the elbows, and release that tension and find your natural structure. What you should start to find is that you feel more stable. Okay? And the last thing is your peripersonal space, or the space around you. So if I get you to swing your arms and just stop your hands in front of you and have a look at where your hands are positioned. Okay? If someone's locked out, they're trying to subconsciously try and keep something away from them. I had a friend with depression and he does this. He's got no space. Okay? So your natural space should be when you rock your arms and you get them up, that the elbows are slightly bent, your shoulders are relaxed, you're down onto your feet and you're extended forward. And this gives you the volume that I'm talking about, that Clive was touching on earlier. Okay? So if I could just borrow Max for a minute, and just stay where you are. I'm going to get you to go fingertip to fingertip. Okay? And I'm going to move Max into his heels without pushing on his hands. And I do that by rolling my shoulders, drop my elbows, drop my knees, I drift forward, and I start to breathe in. And as I inflate, Max should feel himself go towards his heels. When he's in the back of his heels, he's going to roll his shoulders, drop his elbows, drift across his feet without pushing. Just drift in. And when he starts to breathe in, it should push me out. And we're trying to train the subconscious part of the brain to feel what's happening, to make a connection to the other person. So this is a really subtle exercise to try and make a connection to the reptilian part of your brain. Pair up and have a quick try. Thank you. This context, if you like, that was about yourself, just understanding your structure, your skeleton, your expansion, that you have ownership of the space and you have a right to use that in any way that suits you. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is use this to affect the other person. Okay? So just grab both wrists. Yeah. And be nice and strong. Yeah? Pull. Okay? So what tends to happen when we're thinking and we're trying to figure stuff out, we come up, our shoulders come up, we go into our minds, and then everything's happening from our shoulders. A smaller muscle group. You see that over here? So what happens is when we lift up, we're using a smaller muscle group. When we roll the shoulders and we rest the elbows down, we go back into our lats. So once you're back in your lats, it's a different feeling. Yeah? Okay. So he's already gone. So now I can just pop his shoulder and take structure. Because I've already stolen the skeletal structure. I've already taken its form. Yeah? So how do we teach this? It's a very hard thing to teach because we try and think too much. And I remember Ron Russell Sensei always telling us off, stop thinking. But we have to think, how do I do this? What he didn't tell us was, we need to think, but now we have to think and go, how does it feel? Oh, I feel like I'm hitting this person's skeleton. Well, if I release my shoulders and I'll just expand my space, now I'm actually past this person. It's a subconscious connection to your body awareness. Yeah? So, trying to work on Clyde's thing from earlier, when now Mark wants to come forward, he should find that he's walking into something. Okay? If he starts to overpower me, then I'll just use my hip or my feet, my grounding first, and disrupt that structure. So now taking that into an Aikido concept, I would then pop his shoulder and then take him through and put him into Aikido. And I know watching you don't see a lot of what's going on, but there's quite a bit going on. Yeah? So the exercise I'm going to get you to do is just put your hands in between where you're being gripped, as if you're going to hold a ball, basketball. Yeah? And then without pushing on the person, roll your shoulders and try and expand and see if they can feel your presence going in front of them. So he should feel now that my connection to him is actually in front of him. Yeah. Once you get that, see if you can expand it past him. And when you go past him, you can walk forward. Yeah? Explore. It's a nice little exercise. Please, try it.